Okay, so finishing a hat is very simple. Once you finish the pattern and you end up with usually about 8 or 9 stitches, something around there, you're going to break the yarn or cut it, depending on the terms you see in the pattern. Give yourself about, usually you really only need 3 inches. I tend to give myself about a foot because I am crazy paranoid. I'd rather waste a little yarn than not have enough to weave in. So then you are going to take your tapestry needle, which looks like a regular needle, just normal needle, and you're going to thread that end through it. And then you're going to thread this end through the yarn, through the stitches, opposite the most recent worked stitches. So here's where the working yarn pulls out, so we're going to go the other side so that it goes around in the circle, the same circle. So we're going to weave this through, or thread this through the stitches here. And pull tight, because you're closing the hole. So you're going to go through each stitch, just threading it through. Very simple. Pulling tight. And you can pull your needle out of those. I'm going to go ahead and make this easier on myself, because those are now on that thread. And then you're going to go do the other side. Same concept. You're just going to keep pulling through nice and tight. And I think this, or I don't know, almost looks like this stitch is backwards, but whatever. So you're just going to keep doing it. Pull, thread, pull, thread and pull, thread and pull, and thread and pull. So now your project is officially off the needles. The hat is essentially bound off, and you've got this really nice looking little star-shaped top. And mine fell off the tapestry needle, so I'm going to have to put that back on there. So now what you're going to do to hide this yarn and to secure this is you're going to put it through that hole in the center of your star, that hole you just closed. You're going to put it through that, turn the hat inside out, and you're going to weave in your ends. And weaving in ends, I need to do a tech video on this, but weaving in ends is very simple. You're just going to weave it in and out of the loops on the back side, mimicking the loops that are already there. So first of all, I'm going to go ahead and, for security's sake, just make sure my hole is as closed as possible by threading through and across the hole a little, because, as I said, I'm mildly paranoid. I get a little concerned that maybe it may not hold. So there we go. My hole is nice and tight, can't see it. So now I'm going to go ahead and start mimicking the threads that are here. This might be a little harder to see, but basically you just follow the yarn that is already there. See if I can get somewhere where I can actually show you. Okay, so you just find a place where there's a pattern and you start following it. So I'm going to go under this bump here, and if you see next to that bump is a bump that goes the opposite direction. So I'm going to follow that bump. That bump goes into this loop. So I'm going to go up into this loop. And it looks like it then goes into this one, so I'm going to do that. And then I see another bump going the opposite direction here. We're going to use that one. And you're just giving it kind of a place to go. Following what was already there. I'll do a tech video on this. Show it a little bit better. So that's probably good enough. I've gotten a good inch away from the center. And I can now cut this. And as you see, I always end up with this little scrap left over because I overcut. But that's fine. So now that is all nice and secure. So you can pull on it and stretch it and it's not going to come apart. So now you still have to deal with the end from where you cast on. This one is pretty simple too. Same thing. Thread it onto the tapestry needle. Really need to work on getting this all into the frame, huh? And then you're just going to pull it. You're going to thread it down so that it's not visible on the right side, on the pretty side. And then you can thread this however you like. With ribbing, I tend to use these threads, these loops here, to hold my thread because I don't want it to come loose when you stretch the band, and you're not as likely to stretch the band this way. So I have a tendency to put it through these loops like this. I mean, basically what you're doing is you're just looking for a place to store it. You're just looking for someone to hold its hand and keep it in place so that you can wear the hat. It's not, there's no real science to it. There's no real appropriate way of accomplishing this task. It's just a matter of where do you think it's going to stay? And I feel like it stays better here, personally. I know many people who just thread it through the cast-on, and there's many people who will follow the bumps and stuff even on the band, but I am not one of those people. So that looks like that's good enough. I'm going to go ahead and cut this. And there we go. That is the finishing work. I don't know why I'm talking with stuff in my mouth. That is the finishing work of a hat. And now we have a nice, stretchy, spirally hat. Ta-da!